think this is going to be either very funny or very, very, what the heck? I don't care. What do you mean? Why is it black? It says one person is out there. Is it black on your end? I'm gonna try to see it from my end. It looks black. That's why I'm asking. What is going on? Okay. Now it's not black. Cool. But it does say only one person's out there, which is fine. I used to work at Dollar Tree, and let me tell you, that place is absolutely cooked. Okay, I don't know if it's actually a person out there, but if it is, it is, and if it's not, it's not, right? I'm gonna be honest, I read this one, and I have to laugh, because if you don't laugh, it's absolutely galling, and it is absolutely galling. Let's make no mistake about that. Uh, Dollar Tree is an absolute criminal organization that depends on criminal action in order to be able to move its mission forward. So they can do things like make between 6.8 and $6-7 billion per year in profits for people that are not their employees, because their employees cannot afford the stocks. Their employees cannot afford their stocks because they are absolutely and unequivocally reliant on public entitlements. So, Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, Social Security Regular, SSD, or SS, SSD, and Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, TANF, WIC, all those things. Anything that you can think of that the public already pays for, you are paying to uphold places like Dollar Tree, more so than places like Walmart. And I want to say that because I want to make sure that people understand that while you're paying all these quote unquote low prices, you are doing so at the absolute cost of society as a general. All those higher taxes and everything that you're asking to be alleviated from, well, get alleviated, you're going to lose places like Dollar Tree completely because 100% of their profits come from not paying labor. Labor is the largest price point for any retailer, but especially a place that pays pennies on the dollar, literally pennies on the dollar for a lot of these items, which is why the tariffs were so awful. And yet, the first time that the tariffs went up, the prices only went up 25 cents, not only to guard against the past payments, but the future payments and the potential for future tariffs to be enacted. Okay, so that's it. Let's read this one. Oh, this is... Heart goes out to this person. Their name is far_assumption 9444. So, could be a birth date, but probably not if they're this literate on the internet. Okay, sorry, I'm just checking the timestamp. The title is Laid Off Management Discussion. I was recently let go from my part-time job at Dollar Tree. The reason given was limited hours, and a need to prioritize employees who were more productive. I was thanked and told I could reapply for seasonal work in October if things picked up again. Since performance was brought up, I figured I'd offer some feedback of my own, and I didn't sugarcoat it. Never do that. Never do that. Never, ever implicate yourself in anything, because if you start talking about how other people had to step in on you or on your behalf, then they can start talking about you and how your performance led into it. You have an absolute right to defense being laid off. They actually have to, if it's going to be for performance, they have to do some paperwork. It's a whole write-up situation. They can't just let you go. Because if they just let you go and you accept it, they can actually put it down as you quit. They absolutely could put it down as they let you go if you're in your first 90 days, and then it's just performance or whatever, and then not have to necessarily do it. But if it is for performance, they typically 99% of the time have to put it down because HR doesn't know how to put it in the system, and you can't be rehireable for non-performance. So, I mean, a DM could always override it, but you know, it is what it is. But it also, at that point, sounds vindictive because you have a whole ethics pipeline and everything you're supposed to have to go through and everything, and that's what this person should have done. But you can't do that in a company that also hides the information on how to do that. My last DM actually had us remove all traces of any of the ethics posters that were anywhere in the building. We were not allowed to keep them in the break room. We were not allowed to post them in the office. Nothing. If it was anywhere that a typical associate could see it, we were not allowed to post it. We had to be asked for the information, so they had to ask us about what's going on so that we could let our DM know about any incoming problems, so that they could let HR and everybody else know so that they could get ahead of whatever the situation was. You make no mistake, this was not an open door policy enforcement. It was absolutely so that they could cover their butts. Okay. One of the supervisors there has been a major reason why the job environment has been tense and unproductive. Yeah, this place absolutely thrives on hostile work environments. If it's not a hostile work environment, it's not a functioning Dollar Tree. Period. The end. You have to be the absolute worst person in the world to get the absolute. You have to squeeze that blood from that turnip, no matter how hard you have to squeeze, and it's because you're squeezing so hard, it's then coming from your own hands. And there's no. Oh, that's my baby Gerry, Mama Gerry. And there's no excuse to why you wouldn't do that, right? So it, I can absolutely imagine before I even get to the end of this, because I only read like part of the way through, and I was like already, oh god, I so badly just want to talk about this, but it would take injure my thumbs, my thumb joints, which I now have permanent arthritis in my hands from working at Dollar Tree. Fun fact. And it would hurt my thumbs too much to have to respond to this, and my alcoholic roommate is hiding my keyboard. So anyway, let's go ahead and her communication style. One of my supervisors there has been a major reason why the job environment has been tense and unproductive. Her communication style is all over the place, vague when it matters, but sharp when it's not helpful. Her feedback is often condescending or delivered with a passive-aggressive tone, especially when people make small mistakes. Instead of guiding her newer employees, she either does the task herself without explanation or critiques them loud enough for the entire store to hear. It never felt like coaching, it felt like public shaming. Yep. And you will basically be told and trained to do exactly that. They basically want to make sure that you do as much public shaming as possible, because this company absolutely believes that accountability only comes if the entire world knows about it. Now, they will tell you, technically they have to pull you into the office. Technically they need to speak in quiet, even normalized tones, just to let them know you understand and that you care and that you believe that you can come to a resolution together. In fact, any Dollar Tree you walk into, whatever. If you have ever walked in there and you've seen an employee that just looks absolutely angry, it's because they're about to go off or got off on, because that's the communication style that is the absolute pinnacle of how this company is run. And that goes all the way down. Every DM that I had, except for one who was smart enough to go through my SM, he would just ask me to leave the room. He would lay into her, then she would call me in the room, and she'd lay into me. But there was nothing on the top of the office, so the entire store heard it. Worked as a megaphone. It would have been worse than if I had just been out on the block. And she would lay into me while I was working there off the clock, because I couldn't meet my productivity hours. And I couldn't meet my productivity hours because I also had stocking requirements in addition to having to be the only manager and sometimes the only employee in the building. There was never an excuse to not meet the productivity requirements, and if I didn't meet them, I got written up. Every time. Every single time. No question. I never, ever got the opportunity to explain except after the write-up. Okay, moving on. I've personally seen her criticize stocking techniques out loud in front of customers, made snide comments about other employees, including one who wasn't even present to defend himself, and enforce unrealistic stocking expectations. She constantly insisted that we just fit more on shelves, even when that led to clutter, wasted time, and overstocking. One time, we were told to squeeze in several boxes of isopropyl alcohol in a space that clearly couldn't handle it. When I questioned the logic, I got completely ignored. And that's because that's how this company works. Not just the communication style, but it's so normal to have these stocking requirements that are, oh, you're going to have beautiful, beautiful little spaces where everything is just going to fit. We're only going to send you what fits because we only do just in time. Once the tariff nightmare got announced as of the election, those orderings got massively overhauled. They just started ordering anything and everything they could, because even if it stood back in the warehouse, it was still going to cost them less than if they had to order it later and then get it into that warehouse for it to sit. So, they put all of this stuff out there so that they could, or they put all those orders out there so that they could make sure that everybody um, would be quote unquote stocked, but it really wasn't stocked at all. And I know that for an absolute fact because a lot of the stuff that they ordered is just stuff that they could get readily. They just ordered anything and everything that they could get their hands on. It wasn't anything that was practical to any given store. If the store looked like it had sold enough units to do whatever it needed to handle it, that's the store that it went to. Not because the store had a history of selling it well, not because the store had requested more, not because the store looked like it might be out, but because according to their little pictograph that they have in the corporate warehouse, it could fit. And that's, a recipe for disaster when you have regular orders coming in for that space that is already supposed to be there. And then you're expected to get it on the shelves. It doesn't matter if it was tariffs or not, right? If they send you 12 boxes of isopropyl alcohol, they're expecting you to get 12 boxes out and onto those shelves, period. It's not a question. It's not open for discussion. It's not a time to ask if it makes sense. It's going on the shelf. No matter how dangerous it is, no matter how more open to theft it makes you, it's going on the shelf. And especially when you have high theft items like that, that actually makes you a bigger hotspot, a bigger target for people that are coming for you already. And let's make it clear, they're not coming for the store. They are coming for the associates. Because at some point it becomes personal and a point of pride that they are coming and getting it out from underneath the associates. Not a question. And that's, a big part of why they don't do security, because then they have to start guarding against why they're doing certain stocking decisions and stuff like that. Because in order to justify security, they have to justify what they're doing and their policies for getting everything out. And if their policies for getting everything out don't align with why you would need security, you can't have security in that area. It's not just a profit cost situation. It is absolutely the case that they're having to be able to say that, well, this store isn't doing what they're supposed to, and that's why they're so high theft. That's why they're so prone to theft. That's why they're so this, that, and the other thing. And essentially what it boils down to is not worthy of security. And even though that point of pride for some people who do steal comes down to, even though that point of pride does come down to getting out from underneath the security guard as well, you also have the situation where they don't want to pay for the security guard because then they also have to pay for the security guard's welfare. And if you get a level 2, in my state, that means that they can have mace. Level 3 means they can have a firearm, and no Dollar Tree can qualify for a level 3 in this state because it can't justify versus its stocking policies. Which means that if they're creating a situation that they are making the store a bigger target, it means that they're putting a bigger target on the security guard's back. And I worked at one store where we finally did get security, and then the security did not want to be there because our policies didn't align with not making the store a target. And so that person had unrealistic expectations put on them, that not only that they had to walk the premises every 15 minutes, they had to walk a mile every 15 minutes and stop any thievery on the way, and then drive the entire up and down the entire thing, which would be approximately 3 miles, going up and down all of the causeways and everything between the parking spots, and stop into every store every 60 minutes if it's a high theft area. There were 17 stores there. How are you going to, even if all you did was pop in, and they're all the doors aren't next to each other, that's 17 minutes. You've already missed your mile. What are you talking about? And that was the bargain basement security that they were willing to pay for. Or actually that they could get contract with, because the higher security people would not contract, not only for the money, but for um, the relative, I don't want to call it danger, but that's exactly what it is. The relative target on the store's back, because you had a lot of Dollar Trees that are right next to same parking lot or whatever, that the level 2 security guards would be in, and they were very, very strict about not even coming in for energy drinks because they didn't want the perception that they were even there. We used to offer free energy drinks to any security guard, any cop, anything, anyone with a badge that would come in. We'd let them know you have water, Coke, soda, uh, energy drink, snack, whatever. We'll give it to you for free because giving it to them for free was cheaper than the amount of stuff that was getting stolen. And I understand that there's reasons people steal. I do. But I had people regularly coming in and stealing boxes and boxes and boxes of food every single day, or crafts, or toys, or whatever. These people were stealing in order to make a better business out of it than we were. And that's why all of those price tags got started getting printed on a lot of the products ahead of all of this tariff stuff. But now they're regretting doing that because of the tariff stuff, because now they're going to have to do what they do at Family Dollar, which is also owned by Dollar Tree, and they're going to have to put stickers all over everything, and people are just going to go and rip those stickers off and try to get the price. So we're also going to have to find an institutional way to mark out the price so that people can't then come up and complain when they lied to us about what they did. And I still say us because I worked there for over 2 years, and it was the worst 2 years of my life. You know, I had more psychological and physical trauma there than when I had a gun in my face in my previous job. Working for Dollar Tree was so horrific. Okay, moving on. She's also been unprofessional behind the scenes. A coworker once told me she went on a full rant about how much she hated another manager, someone she barely knew. Like, if you want to be in a leadership role, that's not how you should carry yourself. And during one till count on May 4th, she misplaced $600 and reacted by panicking, calling around for help like the store was on fire. Everyone makes mistakes, sure, but it didn't exactly inspire confidence in someone who walks around like they run the place. Oh, you get those managers too, man. Oh, and I mean, you get everybody who works retail, right? You get everybody who works everywhere. But it's always the ones who make the weirdest mistakes who have the most to say. And don't get me wrong, my mouth was constantly running, but I was also running the place. When I left the store, when I left my training store, I was training the store manager on policies and procedures. And then she always made a point that anything I did miss or whatever, that, you know, we had to have a big meeting or a write-up about it, right? It was absolutely a point of pride for her, anything that I missed. And she she was there late every morning and she left early every day. She would be there to be for the camera checks that her DM told her, because there were some days she would come rushing back in and she would be there up to 5 minutes and then she would be gone. But she would often take lunches that were an hour and a half. She was on the phone all day, every day with somebody who was not at work. And we know that because we had to also sit down and listen to the trials and tribulations of her personal life, and keep up with that in addition to work, in addition to our stocking, in addition to our whatever. She was almost never there for truck. She had this big beef with the merch manager, and then also refused to like confront him about anything. I got in trouble for his job more than he got in trouble for his job. I don't know. I was glad to leave there. Like, at first I thought we were like gonna mesh, and then she just, I mean, she saw a sucker when she saw a sucker. I'm just a person who just wants to get the job done. And I was there every single day. I did not have a day off the entire time I was there, and I was there almost 2 years. No, that's not true. That's not true. My birthday week, I was granted PTO for 4 days. and I broke my foot, and then because of that, I got in trouble. I actually got written up because I couldn't perform my duties because I broken my foot. Um, we also had a ghost at that store, which that was a whole different situation. Um, yeah. Okay. That's a whole different side step. But just know that it doesn't matter how far up the pole they are, the ones who make the dumbest mistakes are the ones that are always constantly running their mouths and have the most paperwork on everyone else. So I believe this person when they say that. To top it off, on May 11th, my mom went into the store and asked for her a basic question about laundry detergent. According to her, the supervisor treated her like she was stupid. No hello, no help, just attitude. Whether or not that complaint made it up the chain, I felt like it was worth mentioning. And I can tell you that when I was doing my store manager position, I was only in that position October, November, December, 4 months. 4 months. I was only in that position for 4 months, but I was there minimum 80 hours a week. I did not have a single day off. If I was not working at my store, I was working at another store to make sure my store had hours, because my store couldn't qualify for hours because the previous managers, who basically did not exist, did not meet their sales targets. And because they didn't meet their sales targets, I was expected to make up all of that extra for a bonus that I was not eligible for. I had carved off. Hold on. Watch out. So good. What do you mean? Bird. No, you. Go baby. baby. I don't know what it sounds like, because my headphones aren't going to work with this. I might as well listen to myself talk. Baby? Baby? Can you see yourself? It's you. That's you. Snuggle, buggle, 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 that's you. Buggle, 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 snuggle, you. You. That's you. Did you know, for example, kisses? That's you. And you're kisses, kisses, thank you, baby. Kisses. Baby. I love you too. I love you. Why you eat your feet so much? My babies. Hi, baby. Okay. I got interrupted by my drunk roommate. What are you doing? Porque my brain. Okay, today. Oh shit! You know what we bought? Oh my god, guys! Guys. I think you're gonna enjoy it a lot too. Oh, hi, babies. Should I have me to push this up? Is that easier for you? What you doing? What you doing? What if I told you you only had 2 feet? Would you believe me? Would you be sweet? Almost got the chance. I can't complain. And if you guys watching my birds while I go get my stuff. I was watching my twin roommate walk around in his underwear. Where'd you guys knock off? Bro, we didn't even use a spoon. Why do you got a spoon? Bro, you made it over there? Babies! Where he made it? Titus, oh Titus! I'm so proud of you! Oh, so sweet. So tweet. Oh! Birdie, birdie, chuckle pop. Birdie, birdie, chonkin. Bro, how did you turn off my phone? Oh my god. Watch the birds while I do this. Maybe that would be cute. Maybe less PTSD than looking at my face. Maybe violation. What about them? What about baby? He's the best. Okay, honey, I got you. I got you. You are Snuggles. You are Snuggles. You're okay. I would never let anything happen to you. I would be that thing. even all the paper towels? That's what he did. Okay. Oh, he also did not use cigarettes. Why not? What do you mean, wall? What do you mean, wall? Soy boy. Gonna be my soy boy. I thought you were Gerry. Look at Gerry, so cute. So cute. So cute. Super cute. Nice lips. Here. Bro, what did you open and why? You danced all over this. I love you. Ow. The nails are too short. Ow, your nails are too sharp. Move, please. Okay. Where'd everybody go? Are you all on me? Okay, so to top it off, on May 11th, my mom went into the store and asked her a basic question about laundry detergent. According to her, the supervisor treated her like she was stupid. No hello, no help, just attitude. Whether or not that complaint made it up the chain, I feel like it was worth mentioning. I believe that too, because due to the unrealistic expectations, you guys do not pay for customer service. You have one or the other. We can either give you the service that you're asking for, which includes pulling out our phones to do the basic research that you guys can do yourself. Because I know that you all believe that we have answered every question that is done about every single product that we own. But we don't. We don't. And even if we did, we would not be at the same store that we heard it from originally. Not every employee is responsible for understanding every single thing about our products, because we do not get paid enough for that. We don't even get paid enough to walk in the door, I would argue, because most of the stuff that we have to deal with between management, customers, and then the trucks is honestly not even worth coming in, whether or not you're get public benefits or not, because honestly you can make more coming to a store, ripping it off, and then selling it on Facebook. And you can spend less time doing it. And the cops are not going to come after you because the money isn't enough. Yeah. So, I wasn't hired as seasonal. I was brought on as regular part-time and brought on as regular part-time employee. So to now be lumped in with seasonal workers was cut loose out of nowhere. It just doesn't sit right with me. Feels like I was pushed out while the root of the morale issue stays in place. So she wasn't pushed out for morale, she was pushed out for performance, and she was pushed out originally for hours, and that's because every store has got to cut in hours. Again, they've been cutting hours every quarter. Every single quarter since they failed to beat their $7 billion target in 2022. And because they failed to beat that $7 billion target, which is a dream that they're chasing that's never going to happen again, the only place left to cut it is in labor. They're not going to hire security because that's an additional cost. They're not going to hire performance reviewers, so to speak. They're going to just keep doing everything that they normally do, and they're just going to see how few people they can get away with doing it. They make the same amount of money either way. DMs are going to get their bonuses, RMs are going to get their bonuses, the ZMs are going to get their bonuses, so what the heck does it matter to them how much they have to squeeze us? Like I said, I clawed back over 20% of the profit losses of that store in 4 months, and was ineligible for the bonus because I didn't put the company I didn't put that location into the black before I left. And if you want to get technical, it would be 3 months because I spent so much time sick in December that until I had to go to the emergency room just before Christmas, it really wasn't me that last month. So I did that in 3 months, which included getting the staff on board, even though my PM didn't like it, to be able to do the work that needed to be done. It's the first time that the store had been fully staffed in almost 4 years. So I don't know. But they know what they wanted out of me, and now I'm the one who has to suffer for it. And every time I have to stop up there because I'm moving nearby, not in the same city, but near the city, it just looks worse and worse and worse. The only time it looks decent is when they have to bring in a ton of store managers, which is the same as when I was there. The difference is that now they're willing to hire staff to get it done. They had the hours and ability to hire the staff that I needed instead of getting gaslit by my DM about, oh, you didn't tell me that you needed. Every conversation was about how I needed more hours, how I needed this, how I needed that. And then she would say later, oh, you didn't ask, you didn't ask, you didn't ask. And it wasn't because I didn't send a formal email to her with a copy to her boss, because that was the only time I got anything. Anyway, even if you're not hired as seasonal, they count everybody as seasonal if you're there less than 90 days. And that's the way that they can get out of having to offer you benefits, offer you anything, and that's another way that they can save a ton of money. And again, at your expense, because if you were offered another job for similar pay and this one was a little bit closer or offered better hours, which the hours that they offer you during your interview are never going to happen. They will tell you up to 24 because they legally have to use the words up to, but they technically only have to give you one shift per week, which is 4 hours. And, yeah, so, I mean, they'll hire 12, they would rather hire 20 people with no intention of having them work more than one shift each. They'd have to deal with anything related to benefits or non-seasonal hiring. They believe that their pool is infinite, and in some ways it is. And it's about to be with all the stuff that's going on. And you guys don't demand better, so we don't get better. You see the conditions that we work in, work for, work with, and you guys don't complain to corporate. You just complain that we're not meeting our targets, and we just get our butts handed to us. We get fired, we get written up, and because we participate in brass ring, if we have any performance issues, those are reported. So if we are looking for another job, they're reported to any other job using brass ring, which includes Walmart, Home Depot, Menards, Harbor Freight, any of those. So we're excluded from finding other employment before we can even get there. And that's how they keep you desperate, and that's how they keep you there. But yeah. Okay, sorry, now I'm hanging out real good because I got interrupted. I'll probably get in trouble for having that on the stream. Oh, that's not one. I need to screenshot it. Oh my god, the new picture-in-picture by YouTube sucks so much. Which means I can't watch for anything that goes on. Oh yeah, here's one of my favorites. No_most_6828. Customers blasting music in the store. Look, I don't judge people for their taste in music, but all I ask for them is to either turn the volume down or wear earphones or headphones. By the way, we're not even allowed to have headphones unless we're in management, and we can only have one earphone in our ear. Can't have dual headphones. Technically, I wasn't even allowed to have these ones because it was 2 years, even though it doesn't cover the ears. It's just bone conduction. Did you make it all the way from the stove? You're not my baby anymore. So, yeah, so if you have, we're not even allowed to have our phones on us, nothing. God, baby, go! You need to go. That dog is getting old. I don't even know what she's eating. There's not even food down there. She's licking the floor. What are you looking for? You get out of this place, guys. You don't even know. I'm gonna start this one over. Start this over. No_most_6825. Customers blasting music in the store. Look, I don't judge people for their taste in music, but all I ask for them is to either turn the volume down or wear earphones or headphones, which is a policy for us, except that our associates are not allowed to even wear headphones or earphones. We have to make sure that the only people that have that are the people in management, and we're only allowed to wear one. We have to be able to address and hear customers at all times, which is why we allegedly don't run any music in the store, but I think that's because, one, we're too cheap to pay for licenses, and two, because then we're supposed to be able to address whether or not theft is going on, even though we're not allowed to address whether theft is going on. Management is only allowed to have one earbud or one side of a headphone on. We're technically not even allowed to wear full headphones, which is another way that they impose a cost on you to work there. You're almost required to do so because you're not supposed to have your phone out. You're supposed to have your phone available but not out. If you are there for stocking only, you can wear one earphone in case you have to help and address customers. And you cannot have your phone out except to change music, basically. And if you're caught doing that too many times, whatever that means, you don't have your phone at all. technically, if you're there as an associate at all, you're not supposed to have it, and that's a lot of the reason that they eliminated the stocking only positions, is because it creates that conflict of policy. But even as management, even though we're the ones that are supposed to be taking pictures, again, contrary to policy, we're not supposed to have our phones out too often, even though our bosses are usually calling us at least once a day, or our associates are calling us at least once a day, or. And then we get in trouble if our phones are out too often. And it has to be our personal device, and we have to have one so that they can reach us on, and we have to be available 24 hours a day. We have to have completely open availability, which includes changing our schedule 24 hours before we get there. So, there's that. So, continuing on, it's just bad to listen to music being blasted out of terrible phone speakers. It feels like my brain is being scratched, and even worse when their lyrics are explicit. I mean, there are children in the store and other people who prefer not to listen to that type of stuff. And going back to, technically, everybody has a freedom of speech, you just don't have freedom from consequences. You know, freedom of speech is from the government, not from private corporations or private citizens, private people, whatever. Technically, you can be thrown out of the store for that, especially if it is explicit, because if it is explicit, it could be considered assault in some jurisdictions. And even where it's not, where it's considered disruptive or distasteful, it can be a disturbance of the peace. And if you refuse to stop or you refuse to leave, you can then be cited for trespass, and you could actually lose your ability to go into the store, legally go into the store. Not that we're technically allowed to make that big of a fuss over it, but if a customer does complain and then we don't do anything about it, and then you complain because you did it, we're gonna get written up either way. So we might as well make your day as worse as you made ours. A little consideration can be very helpful for me and others. My experience is that very few people who are walking into Dollar Tree have any consideration for anybody else. What are your thoughts on this as a customer or as a worker, if you don't mind sharing? My thought is I should create a YouTube channel just responding to these things. Oh, it's not a joke. Oh, shoot, what? Green Pie 7976. So we don't actually get paid for iLearns whenever we refer to this on a computer. Legally speaking, although maybe not under this administration, you have to be paid for your training. If a company is requiring you to be there and you cannot leave, you are required to be paid. These companies that expect you to sit around all day doing nothing or not because they don't have the hours, they're not making the money or whatever, that's illegal. Unless you are a salaried member of management, they cannot have you standing around waiting to work. Now, if you stand around while on the clock and then you get in trouble, that's on you. But they can't clock you out, ask you to clock out, ask you to want to clock out, and then do something that helps benefit the company, like being there for the next person to come in. That's completely illegal. But you know who takes care of that? The National Labor Relations Board. One of the first administrative bodies that this this administration tried to gut. I know it did get reformed to a certain degree when one of the women lost her case and was reinstated, but they already had a backlog, and that backlog of all of the horrible things that have happened since then, and then up to then, are just, I mean, they're going to be on that backlog for years. But technically speaking, if you are in training, you are on the clock. There's no unpaid training unless you're an unpaid intern. There are no unpaid interns at Dollar Tree. There are no interns at Dollar Tree. Trust me, if they could figure that out, they absolutely freaking would. Not a single member of staff would be paid if they could figure that out. they already have figured out a way to make sure that you reinvest at least 50% of your paycheck there, because you can't afford to leave the premises to go anywhere else to get food. Like, you're gonna buy food there because you can't, you either have to clean out the disgusting employee fridge to do it, or you have to buy something there to make there. Like, those are your options. Or you have to be able to get out of there. Most people who work at Dollar Tree, I would say good 80%, don't even have a reliable way to get there. They're on the bus, or their mom's taking them or something. If you have a card, you're basically in for management. That's not a joke. They find out you have a card, they want you for manager. But you better be getting paid for training. What the heck? And that's for everybody. Walmart got popped for that decades ago, which is why they didn't think they had to say it out loud, but but then they did. Walmart got popped for it again not that long ago. It was still like more than 10 years ago, but you know, you have to get paid. If you're not free to leave, it's just like with the cops. If you're not free to leave, you're being detained. And if your employer detains you, you have the right to get paid. Not a lesser amount, not a different amount. You have the right to get paid your normal working salary. Working hourly or salary amount. Let me just reply to this. Hold on. That's on them. Either they need to give you the hours because your SM didn't plan appropriately, or they keep you in your current position. That's the options. Those are the options. Welcome to Order Tree. Update. What the heck? I don't want to read that. That's too long. Oh yeah, the prepaid card scam at Dollar Tree is unreal. Resident underscore garden underscore 9008. I'm a Family Dollar employee, also owned by Dollar Tree, and I've had 3 separate customers within the past few months come in and complain about cards they've purchased. 2 were for phone bills, T-Mobile and Verizon, and 1 was a prepaid debit card. They've all said there was no money on their cards and that they themselves were the ones to peel off the security cover that hides the code on the card. Obviously, there's nothing I can do for them since the receipts for any card clearly state no returns or refunds, all sales are final. But I was wondering if anyone else has been having trouble with the Family Dollar prepaid cards. I don't think it's a case of scamming since all of these cards have the security covers on them. It's just strange that it's happening so often and it's super awkward to deal with since there's literally nothing I can do for these people. I suggest that they call the phone number that's on the back of the card, and 2 out of 3 these guys said that they did, and the customer service rep told them to come back to the store they bought it from, so I don't know. And I agree with this one. Those security covers can be easily purchased online. This is from Semi-Social Hermit. Scammers remove them from the card to get the info they need, then replace them with the new one, so it looks like it was never messed with. The only way to prevent it is to have the cards locked away until purchase. And what happens is they just come and grab all the information, or they grab the lot number, and then they just keep trying it until they, is somebody in your community? What, Toto? guys are 6 weeks today. How come you don't want to go to vest? Okay. We're done for the night. See everybody in the morning.